Today we're going deep inside the breach exploitation system. This is the method that professional predators use to get around your most clever security measures and, frankly, drain your accounts, often without you having a clue for years. And look, this isn't about some lone hacker guessing passwords. No, this is about an industrial-scale operation where dark web aggregators literally buy your past to hollow out your future. Okay, let's get into it. Just let that sink in for a second. The one single event that could cause you the most damage, financially, psychologically, it's probably already happened. It's like a digital time bomb, just sitting there, ticking away on some server you've never even heard of. The damage is already done, your data's out there, and it's just waiting for the right person to come along and flip the switch. So how in the world does this actually happen? Well, in this first section, we're going to explore this really unsettling reality of how your old forgotten data, the info you gave to that fitness app back in 2018 or that online store in 2020, is being scooped up, mashed together, and turned into a weapon against you today. This is the absolute foundation of the entire system. Every single time you sign up for a service, you leave behind something called digital exhaust. It feels so harmless, right? An old password here, a previous address there. But this stuff isn't just forgotten data. It's the raw material for identity theft. Think of it like a trail of digital breadcrumbs that you've been leaving across the web for years and years, leading predators right to your front door. And this right here, this is the central, kind of crazy paradox in how we think about security. You might feel totally safe right now. Maybe you just updated your banking password to some super complex 16-character monster. But that feeling of security, it's an illusion. Because a predator doesn't mean to crack your new password if they already have the master key. And that key is forged from the digital exhaust of your past. That one password you forgot about, the one you used on a dozen websites years ago, that's the key they're going to use to unlock everything. And that idea brings us to a core concept they use, something called the delayed vulnerability trap. It's this clever technical and psychological exploit that actually preys on the passage of time. The longer it's been since a data breach, the more powerful your stolen data actually becomes. And this is the engine that drives a really devastating kind of identity theft, known as ghost fraud. And you've got to understand this next part. Stolen data isn't like a stolen wallet, that's valuable right away, but then its value drops. No, for criminals, stolen data is an investment. It just sits there on dark web markets where it gets bundled up, cross-referenced, and enriched with data from other breaches. So your old address from 2017 gets combined with a password from 2021 and a phone number from 2024, and suddenly they have a highly credible profile of you, a digital twin they can use to impersonate you with terrifying accuracy. The data literally matures like a weapon getting stronger over time. And this is what it all leads to: ghost fraud. And we're not just talking about a single weird charge on your credit card. This is systemic. It's a predator opening brand new lines of credit, filing for loans, even making medical claims, all in your name, while you have absolutely no idea. The financial damage is, of course, catastrophic. But the psychological harm, some experts call it identity erasure, that's a whole different kind of trauma. Victims say they feel like they don't even own their own name anymore. So how do they actually pull it off? Okay, let's break it down step by step, almost like we're looking at the blueprints for a digital heist. This isn't one brilliant hack. It's a supply chain. It's an industrial process designed to turn your old data into their new cash. It all happens in 5 very specific phases. It kicks off with infiltration and exfiltration. That's when your data gets stolen in the first place. Then it moves to dark web aggregation, where it's all packaged up and sold. Step 3 is the automated assault, credential stuffing. That leads to the 4th and most critical phase, account takeover, where they finally seize control. And it all ends with step 5, the digital burn exit, where they just vanish, leaving you to clean up the mess. Okay, so during that second step, dark web aggregation, they create this product. On the dark web, they call it a FULS. This thing is the key that unlocks everything else. It's a complete dossier on you. Your name, address, social security number, old passwords, answers to security questions, all scooped up from dozens of different breaches. And a really well-made FULS gives a predator so much source credibility that honestly, they can often bypass a bank's security easier than you can. Now, as technical as all of this sounds, the entire system only works because it exploits fundamental flaws in our psychology. It's designed to target our brain's natural blind spots. So let's take a look at why our own minds make us such easy targets for this kind of thing. See, our brains are wired for efficiency, not for digital security. We basically have two modes. There's the fast brain, which is automatic and loves familiar patterns. That's cognitive ease. And then there's the slow brain, which is analytical and takes a lot of effort. And because creating and remembering hundreds of unique passwords requires a ton of cognitive effort, our brains just default to the easy path, reusing the same familiar patterns over and over. Predators actually have a name for this: heuristic laziness, and they are banking on it. They know you probably use that same password from your old fantasy football league on your 401k account. And this leads to the next big psychological vulnerability, something I think we've all felt: security fatigue. We are just bombarded every single day with news of massive data breaches hitting millions of people. The scale of it is so overwhelming that we start to feel this sense of learned helplessness. You start thinking, what's the point of changing my password? Some giant company is just going to leak it again next week. That feeling of why bother is exactly what predators want. It makes us complacent, it makes us ignore the warning signs. Okay, so that's the problem. It's a systemic attack and it's tuned to our psychology. But here's the thing, you are not helpless. Let's talk about building a real defense. In this section, we're going to cover clear strategic actions you can take right now to build your own digital fortress and make their whole system fail. Let me ask you something straight up. Have you ever gotten a two-factor authentication code on your phone? A text message with a login code for an account that you weren't trying to log into? A lot of people just brush this off. They think it's spam or some kind of glitch. It is not. Listen to me on this one. This is the single most critical red flag you will ever receive. It means a predator has your correct username and password, and they are actively trying to log in as you right now. It's called a real-time replay attack. That 2FA code is literally the only thing stopping them. This is not a drill. The moment this happens, you have to go change the password for that account and for any other account where you might have used it. So the whole strategy here is to create information friction. Just make it harder for them to connect the dots. First up, password silos. What does that mean? It means every single account gets its own unique, randomly generated password, and you keep them all in a password manager. No excuses. Second, do a breach visibility audit. Use a free tool like Have I Been Pawned to see exactly which of your credentials have been leaked and are now toxic. Third, use a masked identity. Get some burner emails for all those unimportant retail sites so if they get breached, it doesn't lead back to your primary email and your important accounts. And finally, if you even suspect fraud, go to identitytheft.gov and file a report immediately. This creates a legal firewall that protects you from fraudulent debt. But look, out of everything we've talked about, there is one move that trumps them all. It's the single most powerful action you can take to shut down this entire system: freeze your credit. A credit freeze at the three main bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, makes it impossible for anyone to open a new line of credit in your name. It basically renders their stolen false data lethal but completely useless. They might have the key, but you've barricaded the door from the inside. And that brings us to the final, most important principle of this whole explainer. It's about shifting your mindset. You have to stop trying to prevent your data from ever being stolen, because honestly, that's impossible, and start focusing on making the data that's already out there totally worthless to an attacker. Your security today? It has nothing to do with the fancy new lock you just put on the door. It's all about the old keys you've already lost over the years. See, a partner helps you build your future, but a predator exploits your past. You have to operate under the assumption that your passwords and your info are already out there, so your defense has to be built right now in the present to neutralize the weapons from your past. So if you remember one thing, let it be this. A password that you use more than once is not a secret. It's a skeleton key, and a criminal can take that key and try to unlock every single door in your digital life. That one vulnerability, that's what the entire credential stuffing industry is built on. So I want to leave you with this mantra. I freeze my credit to thaw my risk. It sounds kind of backward, right? But by locking down your ability to get new credit, you melt away the vast majority of the risk from identity theft. It is the ultimate proactive defense. So let's put it all together one last time. The predator's goal is account takeover. They do it with an industrial system called credential stuffing. It works by exploiting our brain's lazy desire to reuse passwords, that vulnerability we called pattern trust. The only real defense is to break that pattern by siloing your information, using unique credentials for everything, and most importantly, creating a hard stop with a credit freeze. It is the one move that makes their entire operation fall apart.